What's good, everybody? It's your boy Gulpy back, and we're doing a Silver Wolf guide today. I'm going to be talking over pretty much all aspects of the character. We're going to go over her kit, going to talk about her relics as well, and some kind of teams and just kind of things that you need to keep in mind when you're playing her. But TLDR, she's a really strong character, really good. I think any account will benefit from having her, and yeah, I just think she brings a lot to the table that is quite niche and isn't going to be something that we're going to see for a very long time. And if you're here maybe kind of deciding whether to pull for her or Luocha, as a person who doesn't have Bailu or Japard, I will say this: I am struggling with healing. Having another healer would be amazing, but any healer can do that. And as soon as the game releases a 4-star healer that's a bit easier to get on the banner, or a healer where the other 5-star on the banner isn't quite as powerful as what I think Silver Wolf is, then that niche is going to get filled. Sure, at the time being, I would, lose out on being able to push Memory of Chaos further than I would be able to with having an extra healer or just any sort of defensive unit, really. But at the same time, what Silver Wolf brings to the account, I think is just super valuable, and I've not been disappointed getting her. And look, Copium, I might even get Luocha as well. Right, we're gonna super quick. I've got 4 warps that I always like to spend with you guys, so let me just quickly do that. That's absolutely nothing. We're looking for an Asta, really. That is nothing. One more. Come on, maybe just a 4-star. We'll let this one run its course. I'm so unlucky on getting early 5-stars. I had to go to 80 for this Silver Wolf. But I was fortunate to win the 50-50, so I'm not going to complain. Right, well, that was absolutely useless. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Silver Wolf. First things first, I'm going to talk about her kit. I think that's probably the best place to start with a character. And I think for Silver Wolf in particular, the best place to start is going to be talking about her passive. Let me go to her traces. I think it's a little bit easier to navigate over here. So we're going to talk about her talent at the top. This is one of the kind of crux of her whole kit. It's I wouldn't say it's the main part of it, but it's a really good part of it. So she creates bugs which can either reduce attack, and by bugs they mean debuffs. So she can put a debuff on a character, on an enemy, that either reduces the attack, reduces their defense, or reduces their speed. And this happens every time Silver Wolf attacks, no matter what type of attack she does. She could be doing her basic, her skill, or even her ultimate, and there will be an opportunity for her to plant a bug on the enemy which gives one of these debuffs. And that is based on a chance. So as you can see here, every time Silver Wolf attacks, she has a 63% base chance. This does increase. I've unfortunately not managed to level up her talents all that high just yet. Her traces, sorry, that high just yet. But regardless of that, that will only get better, and it's just to give you an idea. So it isn't guaranteed every single time, but the way you build her, which, spoiler alert, is going to be effect hit rate, is going to be the main stat for her. The way you build her and everything like that, you're going to be increasing those odds drastically, and you kind of get to the point where you're almost guaranteed to do it every single time. So that's her talent. This is happening with every single attack. Obviously the reduce attack is pretty nice. It lets you tank a hit a little bit better, which in the later floors of Memory of Chaos can be crucial, can be really handy to have. Reducing speed is good because it might let you attack before them and maybe finish them off before they can kill you, or if it lets you attack again quicker. And I only say that because it's slowing them down, then you might get more energy as well. So that's also a really strong one. But I think by far the best one here is reducing defense. That obviously lets your main DPS character hit even harder than they normally would, and that's a really valuable thing to have. Obviously 5.2% isn't huge, but it's something, and as you'll see throughout the rest of the kit, there are other ways. So talking about her skill now, this is the real niche aspect to Silverwolf. Going back here, all these kinds of debuffs can be found on other characters. You know, Welt will reduce speed, being an imaginary character. I'm pretty sure he even reduces their defense as well. Pella as well is another character that can do these things. This isn't particularly unique to Silverwolf, although her being able to just do it with any attack is pretty poggers. But what we're talking about here is her skill. 79, again, that's going to change, gets higher with more traces. Base chance to add a weakness of an on-field ally's type to the target enemy. So this lets you apply a weakness to an enemy that they don't already have, and it's based on the pool of elements that your team has. So if you're against an enemy that doesn't have, well, let's just say they're weak to fire and they're weak to physical, and you've got a team of Silverwolf, Sealer, Natasha, and Fire MC. So on that team, you've already got physical and fire, and the enemy is weak to both of those. So there's no chance that you're going to apply that weakness. It means you're guaranteed to apply a quantum weakness onto them. So it's going off based on your team, but it also is smart in the sense that it won't just give them a weakness that they already have. It always gives them a new weakness. It's adding something else. That being said, it is based on chance. If they, let's just say the enemy were only weak to fire, it could give them a physical weakness instead of a quantum weakness, and it doesn't matter how many characters of each you have. It is literally just a flip of a coin in that regard. It would be a 50-50 chance. It either would go quantum or it would either go physical. So there is a bit of RNG to this skill. It can not work. I was playing, I was doing a Cavern of Corrosion the other day, just to have some, just to have a go with the Silverwolf team that I've got. I got a physical weakness on this enemy like 6 times in a row. I'm not joking. It was very unlucky. So it can definitely happen. But one good thing about this game is that you can usually reset things. You could just back out, go back in, and just kind of re-roll it until you get that first time quantum weakness or whatever weakness you're going for. So that's what it does at its core. But in a more detailed sense, this also reduces the enemy's damage resistance to that weakness type by 20% for 2 turns. If the enemy is already weak to the type weakness, the effect damage resistance reduction to that weakness type will not be triggered. Each enemy can only have one weakness implanted, and when Silverwolf implants another weakness to the target, the previous one sorry, I've lost where I was. When Silverwolf implants another weakness to the target, only the most recent implanted weakness will be kept. So it means it's resetting. But that also, you know, it means that when I do get physical, it just means the next time Silverwolf comes round, I'll use her skill again, and hopefully I'll get Quantum that time. Do you see what I mean? So you can't have multiple. And obviously the most recent one you put on there is the one that stays. There is also an additional reduction to all types. So that's basically saying the resistance to the enemies. Well, sorry, no, sorry. Let me. It is pretty confusing. I'm not gonna lie. So what that's saying is the enemy's resistance to any element will also be decreased. So even if you don't get the weakness that you want, or let's say the enemy is already weak to the weakness of your main DPS character, just doing this skill does further reduce their resistance by, in this case, 8.5%, but that will probably go up a bit higher as well. So it isn't the worst thing to do, even when you don't have even if the enemy is already weak to your main DPS's type, you can just do it to apply even more weakness to them. But really, what you are trying to do with this skill is make the most of using a character against an enemy that they normally wouldn't be able to excel against. It's adding a weakness and just allowing you to use a team in a situation where you wouldn't normally be able to. That's enough of that. I'm sorry about that. That was pretty confusing. I do apologise. I hope I made a little bit of sense there, though. I hope that kind of helped. So now we're going to talk about her ultimate. Her ultimate is really, really strong. 89 base chance, again, that will obviously get better. To increase the target enemy's defense... Oh, sorry, yeah, decrease the target enemy's defense by, in this case, 38.7% for 3 turns. That's huge. And honestly, I mean, look, let's just go for the next... So the next level, that will go to 39. So what's that going? That's going up about 1% each time. So that's going to probably go to around, I don't know, 45% when we finally maxed out these talents. These traces, I beg your pardon. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. That's a really, that's a big shred of their defense. And not only that, just to put into some context for you, shredding defense is stronger than increasing your damage. Shredding an opponent's defense will allow you to deal a lot more damage than the same amount of damage being increased to your character. And not only that, if you think about it like this, this is applying so that your whole team, when they hit the enemy, will be dealing more damage, as opposed to a harmony unit. Let's just use the example of like Ting Yun. She's only buffing one character, whereas what Silverwolf is doing is she's decreasing the defense of an enemy, which is allowing every one of your characters to deal more damage. So it's really, really powerful. And I mean, the quantum damage she deals on top of that is nothing to snuff at. I mean, that's going to be over 300%. After I've leveled up the traces a little bit higher. So yeah, it's really, really strong. When you've got this comboed with her skill, comboed with her talent, you're shredding that defense by a lot, and it really allows you to deal loads of damage. Her basic attack is just plain and simple, a basic attack, but you've also got to remember it's a way to apply her talent. So the way I look at Silverwolf is she kind of reminds me a little bit of Ting Yun in a sense, where you can apply her skill, and then once you've applied her skill, for the next couple of turns, you can just do basic attacks. You don't have to do her skill every turn. And because of that, she's quite skill point friendly. She's not always consuming them all the time. And it does allow you to be a little bit more flexible with teams. Her bonus ability here adds a duration of the weakness implanted, so that's really, really strong. And then over here it extends the duration of the bugs that get implanted. So yeah, she's a really, really strong unit. This one, if there are 3 or more debuffs affecting the enemy when the skill is used, then the skill decreases the enemy's all-type resistance by an additional 3%. Massive, absolutely massive. So the theme of Silverwolf is shredding that defense. And the way you do that is by proccing this base chance that all of these things have, as you can see here. So 63% base chance, 79% base chance, 89% base chance. That's all around this base chance of doing this. So how can we make that better? How can we make it almost guaranteed? That's where our relics come in. In terms of what kind of set to use, I've gone for a 4-piece quantum and a 2-piece effect hit rate. These are probably not the most optimum. The quantum set, I had a good set ready for her because I'd been farming for Sealer. And the 2-piece isn't a bad thing to go for either. Again, I was quite fortunate. I got what I needed quite quickly, and I just thought, you know what, we're going to go with that. But another really good 4-piece would just be the Musketeer again. The problem with this set is that it's so good on everybody. So farming a set for everybody can be quite difficult. You're not going to always get really good pieces. And you don't want to always just be farming the same relic farm every single time. So, although it is really good on her, don't be afraid to mix things up and go for the quantum set as well. Or even the break set. The break set is super powerful on her. She's really, really strong at breaking units because her ultimate can, I think it does three break units, which is quite strong. Not every unit has that, so she's really, really good for that. And quantum break is a very good break, so it's definitely one to consider. But don't be afraid to just go for the quantum. I will say this: don't do like a 2-piece musketeer because you're wanting the 4-piece from this set. You're not really interested too much in the 2-piece aspect. 2-piece on the break set wouldn't be the worst thing, but I would just recommend trying to build a 4 set of either the quantum build, the musketeer, or the break set. Now, what are we looking for? So, in terms of substats, effect hit rate is the big one here. Break wouldn't be the worst thing. Crits are always nice, and speed is also really important. In terms of a tier, I would probably say effect hit rate first, speed second, and then crits and break are probably on a similar level. In terms of main stats, boots, you're going to want speed every time. And for chest, really, I would say most people, if you've not been very lucky on your effect hit rate rolls, you're going to want effect hit rate as the main stat here. However, I've been quite fortunate. Because I'm also using this 2-piece, which gives me an extra 10% effect hit rate, I have actually managed to get my effect hit rate all the way up to 91.5%. That is partly because I've got the really good light cone for her, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. But I've also been quite fortunate on my substats on my relics. So that's allowed me to not have to build effect hit rate as the main stat on my chest. But I would probably recommend that would be a good place to go for. And in terms of what number you need to hit, hitting around 100% is almost a guarantee to never not hit the base chance against an enemy. At the moment, this is probably making sure I hit almost everybody. But as you get later in the game, the higher floors of Memory of Chaos and various things like that, enemies have a very, very high effect hit resistance, and you need to make sure that yours is pretty high to compete with that. And if you really want the guarantee, I think around 100, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think around 100 is the sweet spot. I think anything, you know, over like 105, you're kind of going a bit overkill. Which is why I've decided not to put a chest on, because that would be way too much. Way too much. I'm not going to talk about her Eidolons, because honestly, they're all good. And all you've got to do is read through them. And I don't want to make myself feel worse because I don't have them. So we're not going to talk about those. Just quickly talking about her light cone, the free-to-play one from the current event it's the one to go for. I won't lie to you. Obviously, there are a couple of other choices if you really don't want to use this one for some reason, but you've got no reason not to. 40% effect hit rate, that's huge. Plus, she's regenerating energy with it as well. That's literally all you need her to do. She needs to be able to hit the debuff that she applies on the enemy, and if you can get her ultimate back even quicker, then that's an even better thing too. So it's fitting everything that you need it to. That being said, there are a couple of other options. I think this one here, Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat, is a really strong one. It's allowing you to add another defense shred with its ability. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. More defense shred, why not? The Eyes of Prey is an okay one. It's just giving you extra effect hit rate. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I am just curious, what will that go to when you superimpose it again? So 30%. So I think that will get up to 40% effect hit rate. So arguably, you know, it is comparable to before the tutorial mission starts, but it hasn't got that other effect based around energy, which is super powerful. Which is super powerful for Silverwolf. So just going through some of these other ones I've got. I don't have all of them, so I might be missing one. I might just go and quickly see in the archive part. That one's okay, but we're looking at more of a debuffing style of Silverwolf. As you get more Eidolons, you can definitely build as a little bit more of a DPS, but I think just going for that free-to-play one, or, you know, if you can at least, if you don't get the free-to-play one for some reason, I don't know if maybe after the event has finished, if there won't be a way to get this again, so I'm not sure how it's going to work. I would say, if not that one, go for the Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat. And obviously, pretty much any of the other 5-star ones are also pretty strong ones to go for as well. So I think that pretty much covers the kit aspect of Silverwolf. What I might do now is hop into a quick battle, just so I can kind of show you how it all plays together, and then that'll be it. We can wrap it up there.
easier to crack.
Alright, now something I didn't mention, which I'll just quickly mention now, is her technique. What you can do to enter a battle. What it does is it basically hits every unit for 2 break points. So as you can see, none of these enemies are actually weak to quantum, but she's managed to chip away and break their shields regardless of that. So super strong technique, one of the best in the game in my opinion. You can start any match with her, any battle. As long as Silverwolf's there, you can do it. You'll hit some shields and you'll do something. So she's really strong, really good technique. So now that we're in the fight, we've got this guy. He's got a physical weakness, a wind, and an imaginary weakness. And on our team, we have 2 quantum characters, a lightning character, and 1 physical. What this means is we are never gonna hit this guy for another physical weakness. We can't give him 2. So he's always gonna have that physical weakness, and that is gonna mean that the Natasha slot is void, if you will. What it's gonna come down to is, are we gonna make him weak to quantum, or are we gonna make him weak to lightning? So let's find out. We're gonna do the skill here, and we actually get quantum, which is great. So now, as you can see, he's got a 4th weakness, quantum, here. We're going to go ahead and buff our Sealer. And why Sealer is so strong with Silverwolf is simply due to the fact that she shares that quantum weakness. That quantum typing. Because of that, it means that you're always going to have a little bit of synergy between the two, because they're the same. And in an ideal world, running something like a mono quantum team would be super powerful, because you would always be making the enemy weak to quantum, which means that Sealer is always in the best position to deal as much damage as she can. So let's go for a little bit of skillage with our Sealer. Might actually get a little heal on before things go awry.
More enemies.
So now that we've got the weakness on this guy, we really don't need to think about doing the skill again. If we go on him, as you can see, where are we looking? Here we go, the extra quantum weakness. We've still got 2 turns remaining on it, so we're pretty chilling. We can go for a normal attack, and that's really strong. It's just as effective, really, because we're managing to apply more bugs to the target. We're going to go for a ultimate now. As you can see, that defense got reduced again. So now if we look on him, he's got loads of stuff going on. He's got the defense shred from the bug. He's got entanglement because we broke his shield with quantum. He's got the ultimate defense shred. He's got the speed decrease. He's got the attack decrease. He's got an extra quantum weakness because the quantum was the type that we implanted on him. And on top of that, there's another 8.5 because every damage resistance has been decreased as well. Okay, so this guy is looking pretty frail right now. Unfortunately, we ain't got Sealer's skill up just yet, but we're almost there. Ultimate, sorry. This will get us there though. I wonder if maybe doing... In fact, let's just try and take this guy out. Oh, I should have waited to do Ting Yung's skill there. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We just hit for 40k. We had no buffs on Sealer. Ting Yung, as you can see, had ran out of her skill buff there. That was all from my Sealer and Silverwolf working in tandem with one another. That was huge, huge, huge damage.
Welcome, customers.
And honestly, that's pretty much all there is to it.
That'll take more.
As you can see there, this enemy had a physical and lightning weakness. There was no way we were going to do anything other than give him a quantum weakness there. So when you're building your teams, if you look at what the enemy has as their weakness, you can work it as your advantage and bring different team members that already have the weakness, already have that type matchup, to ensure that the weakness that you implant on the enemy is the one that you want it to be. I know this sounds so confusing. I'm hearing it in my head and I'm just like, this, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining this, but that is it.
Nice.
Trust me.
Let's do it again when you're leveled up.
That is how it works. She's a confusing character, but once you get the hang of it and you've perhaps had a go and seen what she how she functions and everything like that, I think you'll see that she is actually quite straightforward. And really all it comes down to is using that skill. Did you get the correct weakness? If not, reapply the skill. And if you did get the one that you want, just keep doing basics, and when you get that ultimate, use it and shred their defenses all the way down. She's a great unit. I can't recommend her enough. I think, you know, if you like her and you know, for me, I'm not too fond of Luocha anyway. It's a no-brainer for me, and I really recommend. I don't think anybody would be disappointed having a Silver Wolf on their account. She's only bringing more things to the table, and she's enabling teams that you would never be able to use against some enemies. If I just go to teams, I know one of my friends is a massive Himiko fan, so you could do something like Himiko, Asta, Silver Wolf, and then Fire MC. And, you know, if the enemy's already weak to quantum, you're guaranteeing that you get a fire weakness on them. And if not, even then, you're only leaving it up to a 50-50 chance. You'll either get that quantum weakness, which means Silver Wolf can break them really hard, especially the next time she does the skill, or you'll do a fire weakness, which is exactly what you want. So you can do teams like that. You can run teams. I've got her in a Jingyun team here. So, and I've put a lot of investment into my Jingyuan. So what this means is that even in situations where, I just realised that's not my Jingyun team. I think I just changed my Jingyun team that I had Silver Wolf on. But yeah, you know, if you've put a lot of investment into one character, what she allows you to do is keep using that character, because you will always be able to put the weakness on the enemy so that it's never not relevant. I could just use this team for the rest of my entire playthrough of the game, because I'll always be able to put a lightning weakness on every enemy, and because of that, I'm going to be able to deal massive damage to them. So yeah, she's really, really strong, really, really unique, and a really cool character to get otherwise as well. I think she's really fun. I can't recommend her enough. I hope this guide has been somewhat helpful. I know it sounded pretty confusing. It's felt pretty confusing. But nonetheless, I hope this helps. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace out.